喺主日信息裏面，日華牧師分享咗顏色革命之父吉恩夏普嘅故事。佢出生於1928年1月21日，係麻省大學達特茅斯分校政治學榮譽教授，曾經任教奧斯陸大學同麻省大學波士頓校區，並且喺哈佛大學國際問題中心從事咗近30年嘅研究。1983年，佢創立咗阿爾伯特愛因斯坦研究所，旨在研究同推廣通過非暴力手段推進自由主義嘅民主過程。佢嘅著作包括《非暴力抗爭小手冊》同埋《從獨裁到民主：解放運動的概念框架》。換言之，佢嘅畢生研究就係致力於點樣推行顏色革命，因此佢被稱為茉莉花革命嘅理論推手以及非暴力抵抗嘅教父。
A quiet 83-year-old man from Boston, Massachusetts, is arguably the fuse that sparked the Jasmine Revolution in the Arab world. An ocean away from the Middle East, Gene Sharp continues to talk about the nonviolent protests, which he has practiced and written books and articles on for more than half a century. His most notable and best-known book, From Dictatorship to Democracy, has inspired dissidents in countries around the world, and most recently in the Arab world, including Egypt.
In Egypt, they seem to have had good planning, and they, for quite some time, and they also managed to communicate to masses of people the importance of losing fear. There's so many people saying, we are not afraid anymore. You can do with us what you will.
In Egypt say they took inspiration from an American. He's a retired professor of political science named Gene Sharp.
Sharp was on well-renowned media such as NPR and praised for his writings. However, Sharp remains modest. Although he takes no credit for the protests, he is well aware that his book may have played a part in the revolution. During the protests, From Dictatorship to Democracy was downloaded from the web immensely.
And you're not strong enough.
There were periods of time when that was something like certainly a few hundred times a week. At some point that was, something like 15,000 times a day for the English version.
His most influential book, From Dictatorship to Democracy, was originally written in 1993 for political dissidents in Burma. His longtime friend Robert Helvey, a former military man, remembers the time the book was written.
Here was a case where these people with no experience could learn about waging a nonviolent conflict. And so he came back, I think, a second time. And that's where one of the Burmese, Tin Man Win, asked Gene if he would write something for the Burmese on how we're going to get rid of this dictatorship and develop a democracy. So in response to that request, Gene wrote From Dictatorship to Democracy. It is truly an inspired work.
His book has been translated into Burmese, Serbian, Arabic, and to more than 34 languages around the world. Helvey says that Sharp opened people's eyes to the dynamics of power.
He's planted these ideas among people for 40 years, and now they're sinking in, and people have adopted them as part of their own belief systems as if they've always been here. These ideas have always been. Well, they haven't always been here. They were never here until Gene Sharp showed us how to do it.
正如先前提到，顏色革命着重放大一個國家嘅短處，將某一點、某個小問題放大，上綱上線到一個階段，需要推翻整個國家。然而，有乜嘢比喺一個缺乏民主嘅國家，放大國家領導人嘅獨裁以及宣揚民主嘅好處更有效呢？方法就係喺呢啲地區嘅大學散播追求民主嘅大義。因此喺顏色革命裏面，需要有吉恩夏普提供理論，同時亦需要美國國家民主基金會提供財務同人脈影響力方面嘅支援。所以吉恩夏普嘅阿爾伯特愛因斯坦研究所同 NED 都係喺同一年1983年成立嘅。呢個亦係列根擔任總統嘅年代。當時自 自第二次世界大戰以嚟，西方同共產集團國家已冷戰咗近40年，所有人都以為蘇聯仍然會持續崛起，堅不可摧，所以西方社會同佢哋之間嘅關係需要從敵對變成合作。但唯獨列根係第一位主張共產主義將會垮台嘅世界主要領導人，所以美國要協助其他共產主義國家進行權力過渡。1983年3月8日，佢喺佛羅里達州奧蘭多嘅全國福音派協會發表演說。我相信共產主義係人類歷史上可悲而怪異嘅一頁，亦係仍在進行中嘅最後一頁。並且佢將蘇聯稱為邪惡帝國。呢個就係吉恩夏普同 NED 出台嘅背景，目的係喺蘇聯以及其他國家推行顏色革命，貫徹並執行列根主義。
He went on, I would rather see my little girls die now, still believing in God, than have them grow up under communism and one day die no longer believing in God. There were thousands of young people in that audience. They came to their feet with shouts of joy. They had instantly recognized the profound truth in what he had said with regard to the physical and the soul and what was truly important. Yes, let us pray for the salvation of all of those who live in that totalitarian darkness. Pray they will discover the joy of knowing God. But until they do, let us be aware that while they preach the supremacy of the state, declare its omnipotence over individual man, and predict its eventual domination of all peoples on the earth, they are the focus of evil in the modern world. While America's military strength is important, let me add here that I've always maintained that the struggle now going on for the world will never be decided by bombs or rockets, by armies or military might. The real crisis we face today is a spiritual one. At root, it is a test of moral will and faith. Whittaker Chambers, a man whose own religious conversion made him a witness to one of the terrible traumas of our time, the Hiss Chambers case, wrote that the crisis of the Western world exists to the degree in which the West is indifferent to God, the degree to which it collaborates in communism's attempt to make man stand alone without God. And then he said, for Marxism-Leninism is actually the second oldest faith, first proclaimed in the Garden of Eden with the words of temptation, ye shall be as gods. The Western world can answer this challenge, he wrote, but only provided that its faith in God and the freedom he enjoins is as great as communism's faith in man. I believe we shall rise to the challenge. I believe that communism is another sad, bizarre chapter in human history whose last pages even now are being written. I believe this because the source of our strength in the quest for human freedom is not material but spiritual, and because it knows no limitation, it must terrify and ultimately triumph over those who would enslave their fellow man. For in the words of Isaiah, he giveth power to the faint, and to them that have no might he increase strength. But they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. They shall run and not be weary. Yes, change your world. One of our founding fathers, Thomas Paine, said, we have it within our power to begin the world over again. We can do it, doing together what no one church could do by itself. God bless you and thank you very much.
喺2019年反修例運動期間，中國外交部亦曾經點名批評 NED 係該運動嘅幕後黑手，係第二個中情局，並且曾經喺多個國家策動顏色革命。人民日報亦曾稱，從2012年開始，黃之鋒就已經獲得 NED 嘅捐助，並且喺2014年參加咗非暴力抗爭訓練營，學習點樣以非暴力方式進行抗爭，即吉恩夏普嘅理論。 到咗2020年，《時代》雜誌稱，特朗普政府喺中國宣布推行國安法之後，停止咗一筆原先打算撥俾香港抗爭人士嘅捐款，總額達到200萬美元。呢個亦側面證實，多年嚟美國一直持續不斷為香港抗爭者提供財務以及人脈關係嘅協助。